Welcome to Pop Culture Roulette for all your pop culture needs. We're America's podcast.
In person.
Oh, all right, here we go.
All right. So as always, I'm Nicholas.
Justin.
I'm Jeremy.
It's kind of weird actually going around the table.
Oh man, yeah. So this is one of our rare live in-person episodes.
Yes.
We all happen to have a random day off, thanks to the birth of the country.
Yeah.
America.
Fuck yeah.
So we had a chance to actually get together and do it live in person
Yeah.
instead of by Zoom from the other side of town, because
Yeah. So many miles away.
can't be bothered to drive the.
Now, the important question with us celebrating, does everyone have all their fingers?
So far, so good.
Yep.
Still have all of mine.
We're good.
No JPPs in the house.
And considering that the brother-in-law and I do a fireworks extravaganza every year, so must be getting close to 12 years now. Never blown a finger or a toe off yet.
Nice.
Excellent.
That's impressive.
Although this year we didn't do the mortars, we just pretty much did the boxes because we didn't want to, with it being so dry, even though we had all that rain.
Yeah.
Like we didn't want to do some of that, and there have been years where we've spent way too much friggin' money.
Yeah, has it ever come close to getting to the point where you ever lost an appendage?
No, never an appendage. We have one year, they make these little ladybug fireworks. They're like half circle, like a half bouncy ball. And when you light it, it spins in a circle and then at some point launches itself up. Now, most of them just go straight up, maybe go over a few feet and come back down.
Yeah.
But some of them are pretty unpredictable. And some of them will launch themselves sideways. And
okay.
one of them launched itself at the house, hit the side of the house, and then spun the entire length of the house.
Oh, God. That's terrifying.
I'd say I've never come close to losing an appendage, but I've almost been lit on fire a couple times.
All right.
You know when you're like a kid and you just have like, oh, we have Roman candles, let's shoot them at each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now,
Fun, fun kid stuff.
I know when I was growing up in Memphis, most fireworks were just straight up illegal. Like, I remember there was a couple years that, like, my dad did kind of a show in the yard, but then I think they changed the law, so we just weren't. So I never grew up in a neighborhood or with, like, Roman candles or bottle rockets. So, like, I hear people tell stories of, like, we'd have bottle rocket fights or Roman candle fights, or, like, we would shoot bottle rockets at each other in the house.
You just hold them with your finger and you light them.
Yeah.
And then you just wait, and then you just let go.
Yeah. Never did that.
Oh.
That seems just... Roman... Now that I've played with the Roman candles and you're basically just holding the stick that just goes... and launches a little ball, like, okay, I could see at some point being a kid just deciding to, like...
Yeah, you shoot them at each other.
Stand on the other side of the yard and shoot them at each other.
Yeah. To me, like, it wouldn't be 4th of July if someone didn't get, like, a rocket shot at them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. When we were kids and we had them in the house, like we wouldn't want to wake up like for anything. You want to sleep in as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
My dad would wake us up with bottle rockets in the house. He would like weight them down and he would just light them so they wouldn't actually launch. You just hear the screaming and the popping. Come in your room, rig something up, and that's how he would wake you up.
Okay, that's one way. Well, what about those? Those little like red, like on a string, like they.
Oh, the black cat ones.
The black cat ones. Yeah. Like those, I don't like those ones. Not because of the noise, but because the fuse is always so short. When you light it, you barely have a chance to throw it before it just starts going.
Yeah.
And I need my fingers and my hands too much for my job to risk blowing one of them off.
Yeah. I need them for my side hustle, too, if you know what I'm saying.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, those ones. That's probably the closest I'd ever come in my life to like getting really close to like, oh god, because you have to throw them, and I've had a Call of Duty moment with those where it gets like pops really close to you, and then everything goes like, yeah.
Yeah, those. I would say if I've ever come close, it's with those black cats because you light and throw.
Yeah.
Like no, like with the boxes yesterday, like you'd light the fuse and then you'd stand there for. I mean, probably it was only like half a second, but it felt like maybe a couple seconds to make sure the fuse actually lit, and then you'd back up because you got that longer fuse and you're like, okay, yeah, the fuse took. But with those black cats, you're like you light and you throw.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't light, then you go pick it up and try it again.
Yeah.
But
yeah, there's no time to pause and be like, did that really?
Those ones you just throw on the bonfire while you're out there celebrating.
or that.
Yeah.
Those little poppets are fun.
Yeah.
Someone put a bunch of those on the sidewalk on the night of, and I was walking through during the dark through the park, and I hit some, and I was like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, that's the best way
Shots fired.
That's the best way to do it.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's clever. I'll give them that.
Yeah, I always remember squeezing those with my fingers and popping them. I'm surprised I still have all my fingers.
Well, those don't really have much of an explosion.
Yeah, but now listening, I'm holding bottle rockets and holding this and doing. All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you got it all together still.
Yeah, that was when I was a kid, though. I was broken in other ways.
Yeah, I do wonder. My generation. You guys are a little bit after me, but my generation with the '80s, we had. I apparently didn't have access to them, and you guys did. But I know a lot of my friends who are my age have got stories. Access to the bottle rockets and the Roman candles. We had the actual lawn darts. We also got sent outside and told not to come home till the streetlights come on. Today's generation, I wonder when they're doing their podcast in their 40s, or whatever version of podcast it is, what stories? Yeah, so we sat around and
remember that day we didn't have the internet and we couldn't watch our tablets?
That Call of Duty tournament we had was pretty intense that one time.
Wow. He's talking about me.
No, I think you. Well, I mean, you're right on that line of you have some still like.
Yeah, I mean, I had some of those pure innocent golden years of.
But I'm talking about the kids now who if mom sends them to the park because my neighborhood has kind of a park in the middle of it, and I feel like based off of news stories I've heard, if I had kids and the park was a block away and I was I don't have time to deal with you, I got stuff to do, you guys go down to the park for an hour.
Yeah.
I feel like the cops would show up at my house and I'd get arrested for child endangerment, even though the park is in the middle of the neighborhood.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could see that. What age, though? I mean, what age is acceptable to leave? What's the youngest you'd leave them at the park?
I'm trying to remember how young I was when my parents would leave me alone without a babysitter.
I mean,
I had older siblings, so
I was the older sibling.
I would say maybe 10, 9, 10, 11.
Somewhere between 10 and 12,
right.
I think.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just down the road from you. You're not driving them 3 miles and dropping them off.
Well, no, I mean...
Get out. I'll come back later.
Probably younger when we were in the neighborhood and it was just go down to your friend's house or your friends and you could run around the neighborhood. But I'm thinking when mom and dad would go wherever it was they were going out or going to see a movie or just going to a party or something, how old was I when they were you get to babysit your sister, we're going for the night? I gotta think it was somewhere between 10 and 12. So
yeah.
Well, also I grew up more country. I didn't live in the city, so I was even younger because my friends all lived on the same 2 houses away.
Yeah.
So it'd be you just walk through the yards to get there, and then we'd be playing in farm on the farm by us. We'd be climbing on hay bales and the sides of silos and.
Yeah, no, we didn't have any of that.
Yeah, that was the country. We had one street light, and you came home when you were getting yelled. You'd hear them yelling or ringing or That's how you knew you had to go home.
I did grow up in a pretty ideal neighborhood. There was only 2 entrances and exits, and they were both on the same side of the neighborhood. So like the entire back of the neighborhood was like just you couldn't get to it from the outside world. Like there was only the one way in or out on both. Now granted, both of my friends lived on that side, so like we were often at that side of the neighborhood. But most of the time, like we'd be on our bikes and we'd be at the pond or so. But and now I've seen like I've looked every so often. I'll Google Map it just to be like, oh, what does the house I look like? And like there's just this entire neighborhood that ate the neighborhood I grew up in, and like the pond that I used to play at is gone. Like the woods at the end of the one street is just it's all neighborhood. Like there's no way that my parents would, even back then, they would have let me run wild the way I think they did now.
Yeah.
If the neighborhood was that big.
Yeah, mine is still pretty much the same where I grew up. They've expanded a little more in this area, but when you get out that way, there's still nothing.
Yeah.
Like we still got the farm and the cemetery next door. There's same houses, same everything, same people own them.
Do you find comfort in that?
That something's not changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do too. So
Yeah.
I see East Troy changing quickly, and it's like, wow, what happened?
And you go out there, just kind of like the area that was forgotten.
Yeah.
So you got the cemetery, the farm,
Did you ever play in the cemetery?
all the time.
Nice.
We were constantly playing there. Like we played, like outside of it, there's that one building which has the bell in it from the old school.
Oh yeah.
Like that would be a safe zone, and we'd all play tag in that area, running around through the cemetery,
Nice.
through everyone's yards.
Were you ever afraid that a spirit would attach itself onto you while you played in the cemetery?
Not when I was a kid, no.
Okay.
Well, does the cemetery in this kind of leading towards the spooky Halloween episodes? Does the cemetery that you grew up with in your side yard reflect how you believe about ghosts or spirits now?
I mean, I've always, like, even when I was a kid, like, we had all the spooky kind of incidents we've had in the house and unexplained things has been with me since I was a kid. So I don't know if that's because of the cemetery or the thoughts, but yeah, even like to this day, I still believe there's something out there.
I was just wondering, like, having a cemetery right there, like, some of that stigma of, like, ooh, it's a cemetery might be gone, because, like, every time you look out your window, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, going past the cemetery or visiting them, like, I don't have any issues with that. Like, someone asked me, like, oh, could you live next to a cemetery? And I was like, yeah, I did. My
Already
entire
have, baby.
childhood.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, the one time I walked around that cemetery with you, like 1913 or something like that, was like the most recent burial.
Yeah, it's been a long time
So
since.
it wasn't like it's not like an active cemetery.
Yeah, it's
where-
definitely not recent. There's so many headstones, too, that have gone missing in that cemetery just because of time.
Really?
Like, they'll be laying flat and, like, the ground is just covered them up. Because
Oh.
the only ones that actually take care of it is the 4-H.
Oh, okay.
So they're the ones who do the mowing and stuff. So outside of that, like, there's no upkeep on it.
Your dad didn't make you mow it?
Nope. Well, when I was in 4-H, we did. Sometimes he would go over there and he would mow the front part that you can see from the road. So then they wouldn't mow it forever because, like, oh, it's done.
Oh.
And then you go in the cemetery and it's like 2 feet tall.
Jeez. Interesting.
Well, since we're on the topic of death,
Yeah.
one of the news stories I have to bring to us today.
Oh, beautiful
So-
transition.
One of my all-time favorite bands is Stone Temple Pilots. I saw them. Fortunately, I did get to see them once when I was living in Atlanta at a concert called Big Day Out, and they were just phenomenally good. Scott Weiland, being the lead singer of that band, had a lot of problems. Had some of his own demons with drugs and various other things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately passed away because of drugs. He had Stone Temple Pilots. He did a couple solo albums. He was with Velvet Revolver,
Oh, yeah, one of those, like
like the superstar bands.
Yeah,
where, like,
I was going to say Mega Band, but yeah.
Mega Band, yeah. Like I think it was him, Guns N' Roses, and somebody else like joined together and they did like one album. they are planning on doing a biopic, like making like a Rocket Man, Bohemian Rhapsody style movie with Scott Weiland. And I just wonder, has enough time passed for Stone Temple Pilots to get the same kind of treatment that Elton John or Queen?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because like even as you're explaining, I'm like, I don't know if I'd watch that. Or like Rocket Man, Bohemian, that I've watched.
They're on my list. I just haven't got around to them. But
I liked Rocket Man a lot.
I haven't watched either, so I definitely wouldn't be checking this Scott Weiland one out. But.
Because I know they did that I don't even remember what they called it, but the Motley Crue movie for Netflix.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that one.
But yeah, it's like, well, and I just saw the trailer for Respect, the Aretha Franklin movie. I mean, it's not my, like, I respect her as a musician, but it's not necessarily my style of music, so I'm not like running out to see it.
Who's playing her? Do you know?
Jennifer Hudson.
Oh, interesting.
I saw the Ray Charles one that they did a while back where Jamie Foxx won the Oscar for that. So, I mean, clearly there's a long history of making movies about music or musicians who have died or sometimes are still alive. But, because they've done countless numbers of Elvis movies. Like, trying to even think about who has...
They did the Johnny Cash movie.
Yeah.
La Bamba.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is that what it was called?
La Bamba?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was that wasn't the Johnny Cash movie.
No, like they did a movie about him too.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash was what? Walk the Line?
Richie Valens. That was who was. Yeah. I was trying to remember the name. There we
Yeah.
go. I'm surprised if they haven't done it yet, that they haven't done a movie about the day the music died when you lost Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and the Big Bopper all at the same time.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they covered in La Bamba, but they mainly focused just on Richie Valens.
I've never seen that. Is that Lou Diamond Phillips?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously there's a long tradition of doing these movies. It speaks to me because, like I said, I'm a massive Stone Temple Pilots fan. I just don't know who would be Scott Weiland.
I can't even picture what he looks like, so I couldn't help you.
How about, like, Edward Norton?
Maybe. I think you'd almost have to do something where you got really lucky that you could make Rami Malek look almost exactly like Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
But, like, Taron Egerton looks nothing like Elton John. So, like, they were just like, you just have to inhabit Elton John, and people will just have to believe that that's Elton John.
Right.
You know. So I don't know if you want to go for the believability of like this looks exactly like Scott Weiland, or we just get a guy who can inhabit that energy, that space.
I mean, maybe they'll listen to my rendition of Sex Type Thing on the 90s Nostalgia Showdown, and they'll let me do it.
Yeah. Why not? You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. I
Maybe.
play a skinny white dude.
Because I mean, I can't tell you how many times Core and then Purple probably more than Core. Like my friends and I sat around listening to that album, like that. Those, tiny songs from the Vatican gift shop. I haven't gone on a deep dive in Stone Temple Pilots in a while, but I know, like I used to listen to that a lot. That because when he died. That didn't impact me as much as Chris Cornell because I saw the Scott Weiland thing coming because like they kicked him out of Stone Temple Pilots because he wouldn't or couldn't stay sober. He just kept going back to the drugs and like everything, every band or everything he did like kept falling apart because of the drugs. I do fear that with a movie like that and a lot of those kinds of movies that you might end up turning him more into a folk hero and really like kind of like making drug use seem cool.
Yeah, like romanticizing
it because I mean he was only alive for a short period of time, relatively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, look at that 10, 15 year to maybe 20 year stretch from the early 90s to the mid to late 2010, whatever. Before, because I can't honestly remember when he passed away.
Yeah,
I got it.
remember.
But I mean, they had a stretch there where they had
2015.
Stone Temple Pilots had 4 or 5 albums that really sold really well.
2015.
They man, when I saw them at Big Day Out though, I mean that was late. That would have been 98, 99.
Yeah.
So that would have been probably at the height of their popularity. He at the end of this, they left the stage. They came back out for the encore, and he was wrapped in nothing but the American flag to bring it back to July 4th.
Yeah.
And he performed 1 or 2 songs, but then one of the DeLeo brothers kept like running up and like tugging at the flag, knowing that he was dumb enough to have walked out on stage wearing only the flag, and then finally like they're like, good night Atlanta, and they got the flag and right there on stage in front of the 40,000 people that were there, we all got to see Scott Weiland, and I can't believe I hadn't thought about this since, butt ass naked, just flapping in the breeze.
Wow.
I hope they include that as one of the scenes in the biopic.
Well, and who knows how many times he did that, or if that was just a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Man, if you would have done that like today.
Oh yeah, so many angles.
Yeah, decent exposure tickets,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he'd be getting Me Too'd.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Lenny Kravitz, this has just been in the last couple of years. Lenny Kravitz was performing somewhere in Europe, and he was wearing leather pants, and they were a little too tight, and he was doing the classic rock and roll, like, get down and do the moves with the guitar, and he moved just right, and those pants exploded. And there are, unfortunately, pictures on the internet of
Lenny and his Kravitz.
Yeah. just right there. And I maybe because it was an accident, nobody planned it. They weren't like, find him. But, I don't know. I don't know if we
Registered
live...
sex offender now because of minors in the crowd.
I don't know if we live in the day where, like... Because Jim Morrison got arrested here in Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
In Milwaukee, when he took his pants off. I have a feeling like... Maybe they get a stern talking to, a letter, but I don't necessarily know if like the cops would show up and be like, "You're under arrest."
Yeah. You have to register on Family Watch.
Now, granted, Jim Morrison like taking his pants off on stage is a legend. I mean, obviously it happened, but there's no evidence other than like people who were at that show that are still alive were like, "Yeah, I saw it." People weren't necessarily now. If Scott Weiland was to pull his pants off on stage, that picture would be on Twitter in seconds.
Yeah. There'd be a live stream of it too.
Yep.
The internet would have that. We'd all know exactly what it looked like from multiple angles.
Yep.
Close up, far away, have more.
Yeah.
We'd be more
Tiny little top hat.
We definitely know what was going on there a lot more than we'd probably care to.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
So I would probably watch the movie just because I'm a huge fan. I just hope they don't do like a Lifetime one. I hope they do more of a Bohemian Rhapsody, where they treat it, seriously, not like a Lifetime original, or back when MTV VH1 used to make their movies, where they were kind of super cheesy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's weird when they make those, like, what was that Kurt Cobain one they made, Soaked in Bleach?
Oh yeah,
That was called?
that didn't do very well. So
Nah, that was one of those movies though. I don't know. Are there any other bands you'd like to see them make movies of?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like, I know, like, I've seen Linkin Park once. I was able to see them, and then after Chester passed, I wouldn't mind if they did something with him, like a Linkin Park style movie.
But you just said that Stone Temple Pilots are too soon. Linkin Park is even more
I
recent.
feel like Linkin Park had a lot more following than Stone Temple Pilots.
See, this is where our
And it was like 2 years apart from each other.
I think this is where our age is different because Stone Temple Pilots were when I was in high school, were in like the 92 to 96 range, and Linkin Park didn't show up until what 98, 99.
Is that right? 2000.
Yeah.
I think that might have been when I was in high school.
Yeah,
that sounds about right.
So those albums like Core, Purple, Tiny Music, Number 5, like those albums sold.
Meteora, Hybrid Theory.
Right, but I'm just saying I don't. But that there's about a 10-year time span between Linkin Park's superstardom and Stone Temple Pilots' superstardom.
I feel like Linkin Park's might have been a little brighter, but that, like I said, that's probably the age thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have much. I mean, the Beatles is always an interesting story. I know it's been done a million times in different ways, but have you really seen a movie like about?
What was that one Beatles movie where like that guy went back in time? Is that what it was? He went back in time and he was like the one who wrote their songs.
Oh yeah.
There was the one movie they did just recently where the guy woke up and he was the only one
who knew their songs. Yeah.
Well, that was yesterday. He didn't go back in time. It was just something happened, like into the Earth. I'd like to watch it just to know how it ends.
Because I know they talk about there's that one scene where like John Lennon and Paul McCartney are there. I think they want to talk to him. So I'm like, how did he like?
That might be two different movies then.
Oh. Because, there's the one where he's, like, taking credit for their stuff. But they're still alive.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought that's what that one was.
I'd like to, I guess maybe because he was an actor himself, they haven't really done anything. David Bowie.
That'd be interesting.
I'd like to see a David Bowie movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Probably get the same guy to do Scott Weiland and David Bowie. They're both similar body type.
Yeah, there you go. Once he's done with one, he'll just hop right over to the next set. I mean, it all depends on who's got the most like interesting backstory too, and I don't really know a lot about like the actual background of a lot of people that I like to listen to.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like I don't know. Like the Beatles, because they were so influential. Like there's a lot of movies and a lot of ground you can cover, but like. How interesting were they before they were the Beatles? Like,
yeah, I mean that's a good question.
Probably not.
Probably
like,
not much. I don't know. They're probably just like normal people. But
which is where like the Ray Charles movie or the Johnny Cash movie was, were more interesting because they were able to focus on so much of their life before they were famous.
Yeah.
Where like, if you were to do, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what Scott Weiland's life was before the Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either.
But there's got to be a point where like you're just like, yep, we start the movie when the band started because before that, it was just him working at Hot Topic. It was
yeah. Yeah, it's like the Rob Zombie Halloween where they spend like an hour on backstory and it's just him in retail getting pissed off. Yeah, but anything's done well enough, I'll watch it. So I'll check it out if they have.
That is true. I mean, we are a pop culture podcast, so we'll probably watch it anyway, just because.
Yeah. It'll end up happening. One of us.
At no point have we given ourselves a good segue to this next topic, but Johnny Depp and the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
So. It happened while we were on our break that Johnny Depp was essentially fired from the movies, and they hired Margot Robbie not to take over the Jack Sparrow role, but to
it'd be an interesting
to be a new
interesting choice,
to be a new character and kind of take the franchise over. Which I'm not against. But one of the reasons that they were firing Johnny Depp was because Amber Heard had accused him of all of that domestic abuse. Well, it has been proven, pretty much that Amber Heard lied about all of it. And Johnny Depp as a character, or Jack Sparrow the character, just got put into Sea of Thieves. Like there's now a Pirates of the Caribbean, like DLC content for that game.
Yeah.
So there was an article that was like, Disney wants to remove Johnny Depp, or at least did, but yet they keep putting out content with him in it.
Yeah.
Like, is it time to just, like with James Gunn, after Guardians 2, they fired him because of something that happened like 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then people were kind of like, he's moved on. He's not like that anymore. Okay, we'll rehire him, and he's doing Guardians 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you do one movie of just establishing Margot Robbie and then bring him back in? Which would kind of be like, we don't trust, unless you announce beforehand that's what you're doing. Or do you just go, she's already in the movie, and now Johnny Depp's in it too? Like, or do you stick to your decision of just jettisoning Johnny Depp from the franchise and trying to reinvigorate it without him?
I think you see how the first one goes without him, and then if it doesn't go well, you welcome him back with open arms.
Yeah, I think if they really want to redo, like, a relaunch with Margot Robbie as the main person for a bunch of future films, yeah, you go without him. Or if you bring him back for a small part, maybe towards the end. But if you really want to remake the franchise with her, I'd say you'd probably want to leave him out.
Yeah.
Unless you want them both to be in there. But if you want her to be the star, you're going to have to...
Right, you have to jettison him entirely.
Yeah.
Because...
maybe bring him in for a little bit to be like he's walking away, retiring, like the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he's just handing over the reins.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going off.
Or, you talk him into it or spend a lot of money to show up and, have Margot Robbie stab him.
Yeah. Be like, you're in charge now, I'm out.
Or you make a Disney Plus series that runs alongside of the other franchise that's rebooted and have Johnny Depp in one and Margot Robbie in the other.
And then eventually bring them together. I mean, because I would think if you really... Because if you do the thing where you do a movie with her and then you bring him back in the next movie, you run the risk of the people who would go, well, you just didn't believe in her, or you don't believe in the franchise strong enough, so you've given up and you've brought him back.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so there's a massive backlash there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if you go to Margot Robbie and you don't bring him back in that movie, you basically...
We're good. I'm just checking.
You basically have to, at that point, just be like, we are done with Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
Like, he as a character no longer exists, in this franchise. Yeah. And you just have to maybe even kill him off screen. Like,
is the movie that they're doing with her with, like, a lot of the other cast, too? Or is it, like, a whole new crew?
That is not something that I know.
Because if they were doing it with, like, her and her own crew, they can maybe reference him. Like, oh, he's over in this area doing his own thing. And then they can, like, maybe meet up later.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be like, oh, they got his crew with, I don't even know any of the other names of the characters.
Yeah.
Then you got to be like, oh, where is he? But if it's her own crew and everything, maybe you reference him a couple times.
They could just show some ship off in the distance.
Yeah.
Like, there is he.
Look.
Yeah, and if they want to bring him, if they really want to bring him back, they can be like, we got to go here and we got to go rescue Jack. He got himself into some kind of trouble.
They land at that one town they're always going
Tortuga?
to. Yeah, Tortuga. And they're like, oh, you just missed Jack.
Yeah.
He just pulled out.
Hey, it's Jack here. Just missed him.
Like the whole movie.
Yeah.
Just missed it. Okay. All right.
Yeah, like you can, if it is our own crew, you can maybe reference him.
Yeah.
If you really plan on bringing him back, be like, hey, Jack, we just heard Jack's over there doing this, and we're going to go do this while everyone's distracted by whatever Jack's got going on. He's got all the other people after him. Let's just go steal that.
There you go. Oh, you could not remake the Pirates franchise, but like you could have her crew like doing like all this other stuff like at the same time, like you just constantly referencing what's happening in the Curse of the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
He's over there with Barbossa doing that. Okay, let's run into Tortuga and rob the bank.
Yeah.
Make an entirely separate movie.
Yeah.
While the events of the other movie is happening.
I was just thinking that too when they're battling what's the
Callisto?
Callista? And the guy what's the guy with the squid face?
I don't know. I've never seen any of these.
Davy Jones.
When they have that big fight where they're circling each other, they're like off in the distance just watching them like,
okay,
not going over there.
They are all doing something stupid over there, which means nobody is paying attention
Over here.
to the palace. Let's go rob it. Let's.
Yeah. They start sailing that way, and they just see the storm, and everyone's circling each other, and be like, "Turn around! We're taking the scenic route."
I think that's a good idea.
You know,
Call us, Disney.
You never seen the Pirates?
Never seen any of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Looks like you got some homework to do.
I guess so. Add that to the list.
Well, I mean, I guess on that same token, there is a franchise that is coming back to the screen, but on the small screen instead of the big screen for the first time.
Okay.
Alien.
Really?
They're going to be making Alien movies or Alien TV series.
Oh.
But the guy Noah Hawley, who the name I'd have to look it up at some point, but I'm sure there are some people going, "Ooh, Noah Hawley." He has said that he's
like
doing
Buddy Holly?
No, it's spelled differently. He's going to be doing this. He's the showrunner, producer. Maybe I know he directs, so maybe even directing it. Is not going to have anything to do with Ripley in any shape, form, or fashion.
Okay.
Like they're not going to. They might. I guess they might acknowledge Ripley, but like they're not doing more Ripley stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is going to be like alien stuff happening like well after she's dead.
Okay.
Or like they're going to be. Because I mean, obviously, there's a long history of alien interaction with humans between AVP and the first Ripley movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so maybe, you know, but they said they're sticking to the alien, you know, and not doing any of the Predator stuff.
Okay.
Although they might, who knows? I don't know.
I'd say that'd be disappointing. I love the Predator stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So are you at all interested in a Ripley-free Alien series?
I'll check that out. Sure.
Or are you afraid you're just going to get... what was that one?
Prometheus?
Prometheus.
Yeah, I know. To be fair, though, I should watch that again.
I should, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen that
And
one.
I still haven't watched Covenant yet.
Oh, yeah. I haven't either.
I haven't watched the last Predator movie, for that matter. One of
the
these...
Shane Black one?
Yeah.
I was like, which one's the last? Oh, yeah, with Thomas Jane.
Yeah.
That was a good one. I like that one.
I've heard it's good.
I've always preferred the Predator franchise over the Alien franchise.
I think I would agree. Although that first... I like the first Alien movie. The first two are really good, but the first one... I love the horror movie that exists, and I'll get into this later with the various other movies that we've chosen, where like in the first Alien movie, you don't see an alien in full for 47 minutes, like almost halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Like it's just shadows and noises and maybe like a quick glimpse, but like you don't. Jaws, pretty much the same thing. Like I think there's something to be said for the older horror movies that build the suspense and kind of get it go. Don't like because the modern horror movies they're like 2 seconds in they're showing you everything.
Yeah.
And like
It's that attention span these days. They want that instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Give me jump scares.
Ah.
Hurry. I'm bored. No, that's cool. I do appreciate that too. The atmospheric, and it takes a really good person behind the camera to be able to pull that off because there's a fine line between like being boring and having good pacing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have seen a number of horror movies where like they try to do the same thing, and I'm just like, oh god, oh.
Yeah.
What? I only fell asleep for... Oh, I didn't fall asleep. Shit.
Turn this movie on to be like, I'm going to turn this on. I could use a nap.
Yeah. ASMR horror. Yeah.
All right. So Star Wars made an announcement that might excite, Tony, but he's not here right now.
Let's call him. Let's get a special guest on the show.
FaceTime him. We can set him up over
they
there.
said. I think they said in September they're going to be releasing it. I don't know if they're going to be doing what they have been doing with all of the stuff on Disney Plus, or if they're just going to drop it all at once. They're doing Star Wars Visions.
Okay.
Which is going to be a bunch of different short stories that aren't related to each other.
Okay.
All anime style. All different. Every story is done by a different, like, big named Japanese animation studio. I don't know anime. I don't particularly care much for that style. So when they're running through the list of names, I wasn't like, oh, like, but I know, like, I'm pretty sure, like, based on the way they were like, and we got this one, and we got this one, and that, like, people more like Tony, or, you know, I don't know anybody else.
My sister, maybe, and Chris would be interested in that.
Would be going, I can't believe they got that one. Oh, my. So, alright, so basically, I'm gathering that...
Yeah,
their big name...
This is just kind of a non-story.
I don't know. Is this canon at all, or is it just its own thing?
I don't know. I assume because it's going to be on Disney Plus, it might be canon. I don't know if they're doing any of the original or like the legacy characters, or they're just going to invent all their own characters. No, so
they've been doing interesting stuff with animation recently, and like properties. Like they're doing an animated Splinter Cell series for Netflix, and I think that's going to be anime style. Somewhat weird that they've been kind of going in this direction.
Yeah, this anime explosion.
Yeah.
Oh, that might be where the youth is, and that's where being old hurts us.
Yeah. Ouch.
That and right in our bones and joints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now it is that time.
It is that time.
Oh,
It is that time.
It's that time.
For America's podcast to review America's Got Talent.
Booyah.
Yeah. Insert theme music here. Do we have theme music?
Sure.
All right.
We don't.
We don't. No.
Just lie to him. Say we do.
Yeah, we do. Definitely. Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. So, positive impact movement.
Yes.
Yeah. Positive impact movement.
That's
a mouth. It sounds like a workout place.
Yeah.
It basically was.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah. I was impressed.
Yeah.
Me too.
I was impressed.
Acrobatic, weightlifting, energetic, and highly entertaining.
Yes.
That's what I put.
I agree. I didn't write it down, but I got all up here, baby. And I really did watch it all this time. You walked in on the last act.
That's true.
That is true. We did.
We are proof positive that you watched it.
I wrote, something must have happened during that where I wrote, you know what, Terry is a really good host.
Okay.
All right.
Because it, like, I got to thinking, like, how bad Tyra was. Tyra Banks was just awful as a host. Maybe she's great at other stuff. I know, like, Next Top Model was really popular. I couldn't stand that show. Just a bunch of just bitchy women catfighting.
I never watched that one.
I
remember her on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. But as a host on America's Got Talent, she was awful. She tried to make it too much about herself and not about the acts, where Terry, like, I think Terry's genuinely excited for the acts, and he's as every bit as excited to be standing on the side of the stage watching it as we are at home watching it.
Yeah.
He's willing to be a part of it. He doesn't try to make it about himself the way she did.
Well, everything he does, he's going to give 100%. Like he said that he's always going to have his high energy. He's not going to be the problem.
Yeah.
Like he said that in interviews that he wants to be to make things great. He doesn't want it to be about him.
Because Nick Cannon was enjoyable, but I think Terry's really kind of making it a kind of his own thing and really elevating it. I think as a host of the show. So that's just all right.
Fair, I agree. I think he's a good host. All right, what happened next? You had the Empower Pack.
That's the dog group?
I think so.
God.
I wrote kind of blah.
Yeah.
I put confusing and too much going on.
As soon as she said we're at a dog act that uses empowers people.
Yeah, with the Harry Potter costume.
Yeah, laughing my ass off.
There was way too much going on there.
Right. They were all in the Harry Potter costumes, and then I felt like there was no real reference or no act built around Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, he jumped over the wand.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that count?
And he pissed on the fire.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
It was stupid.
I think you guys know where I stand on dogs and dog acts, but
Yeah.
that one I was just kind of like,
I don't know. They got 2 yeses and 2 nos.
To me, it was just dogs walking across the stage. Like, they didn't see anything
Right.
special.
It's
Yeah.
a dog show.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it had been not dogs, like if it had been
Cats, monkeys,
small
goldfish.
Monkeys.
children. I don't know. That's probably it. Like if it had been just like people doing it, if the 2 yeses would have been yeses,
Yeah.
because I think that they got yeses just because they were dogs.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Because it's the same 2 people who's going to give little kids a yes every time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then after that was Alexandra and her dogs Tessa and Luca.
That was awesome. I mean, really. I
Yeah.
loved that. They do that thing again where they show like some more acts back to back.
This
You're
one's
like, "Ooh,
terrible,
is it
so
good?"
this one's
Yeah.
good.
We don't know.
Yeah, I put it. It was impressive, and the amount of time and effort
Yeah.
that she put in with those dogs to do
Yeah.
that.
I love watching them and just looking at my dog going, what's your excuse? Look at those 2.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's right. I don't really work with you then. Because I did the same thing. I was like, why can't you do this?
It's not my fault. It's clearly their fault.
I can barely get you to sit and stay when there's food around. This dog's doing flips. All right, and then one followed by that was Gangster Grass,
Nice.
which was they described themselves as a hee-haw hip-hop group.
Is country rap the next
In
big
an
genre?
untapped market.
An untapped market. Kind of like when Linkin Park kind of brought the idea of rap rock
Yeah.
to the forefront. Like
Yeah.
they weren't the ones that started it, but they were the ones that kind of broke it big.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is this our next market? Is this the next genre?
I kind of hope so.
Yeah, I could see it happening. I was like, I don't want to like this as much as I do. But
Right.
I like it.
You see them all walking out, and you're like, all right, they're just trying to be like, oh, look, we all get along.
Yeah.
And then they play, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like it's actually pretty
Right.
good.
I don't know if we've ever had this conversation before, but I've had it in my head. I'm forced to listen to country music on a level that I am not comfortable with. The work radio, like in the not in the shop, on the sales floor, is only ever tuned to the country station,
I hate
and I
hate
can't
that.
stand
Yeah.
it. But I hear a lot of the same songs, and unfortunately, I don't have the ability to tune it out the way other people do. Music, when it's on, I hear it. And I have noticed, and then when sometimes the guys in some of the other bays will have their hardcore rap playing at a level that is also uncomfortable.
Oh, so you just hear them in each ear, and you combine
Well,
them.
I can't hear
This was your idea, you're telling us.
I know. What I have noticed over the last couple of years is country and rap are way closer to each other than I think either genre wants to admit when it comes to like structure
Yeah.
and substance.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of country songs about drinking, a lot of country songs about like sex,
Mhm.
a lot of country, and there with rap there's a lot of the same. Like they come at it maybe from a slightly different angle,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's a lot of like change a few words here or there. You could very easily make either one of these songs work
Yeah.
for that genre, where like you couldn't if you just changed a few words or changed the music bed, it wouldn't work for rock. Like rock is like this whole other animal, where like these two genres are way closer to each other than I think they want to ever admit.
Yeah, until now. This
Yeah,
group.
until now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting point. Yeah.
I don't really listen to either.
I listen to a lot of rap, but no country. I remember we actually did in the past. We did an episode about country, sort of, and I read "Shut Up and Fish," like line for line. I think Lars was here actually too.
Hmm.
It was a long time ago, but I'm
Oh.
obsessed with the series, so I have it fresh on my mind
Nice.
always. Yeah.
All right.
Followed up by Dwayne Douglas, the no contact wrestler.
What a fucking waste of time.
I wrote, what the hell?
I wrote WTF.
I remember.
Okay, so pretty much the same.
yeah.
I said he's got lots of energy though.
He does, yeah, that's true. That's the only thing he had, though.
I did have an idea that would be hilarious for one of the judges to do as a prank. Because Howie seemed to... Was it Howie or... One of the judges...
Howie was laughing at it.
Howie really enjoyed it. It would be funny as hell if somehow during, like, the live rounds...
Oh,
If Howie, like, brought the guy out...
like you can call back
Like,
one of your favorite acts.
Ooh!
Yeah.
You didn't think I was gone that easy. You didn't think that 4 no's
He
or
would- he
3
would-
no's would get rid of me, and like
He got
just as
4.
a prank, like
It was
not a-
4 no's for
Okay,
him.
it was 4. Like really, as a prank, like obviously not there as a real, but just to have him kind of like, because he was really enjoying himself as the heel,
Yeah.
but it made no like your thing. Would I pay to see that as a Vegas act?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
He he would have been an awesome like WWF manager in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Like original WrestleMania stuff like
Yeah.
that when they had like Bobby the Brain and Mouth of the South. But today, no, that is not a Vegas act.
He'd be good on the Vegas Strip as like a performer outside of a casino.
Just yelling at
For
people.
tips, yeah.
They'll just start yelling at them. They're like, "I'm going in there to get away from this guy," and then they drop $2,000.
Yeah.
Next was Moon City Masters. Do you remember anything about them?
I wrote blah.
I don't even remember what the act was. I put stiff and boring.
I think they were the musicians. All right, so they haven't done
Probably because the other one was a music group, so this was probably a music
Okay, I
group. A
missed
good
it.
one and a bad one. I
I missed
remember.
one in here then. It hasn't happened this year, and I think there's only one more round of auditions. But the last couple years, there's been like 1 or 2 bands or solo musicians where Simon will stop them and be like, "Do you have another song?" Or go work on another song and come back in a little bit. He hasn't done that this year, and the way he stopped them, I was like, "Oh, this is the first he hears something,
Mhm.
but he wants them to do something different," and he just went, "Now you're boring, get out."
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even write what they were. And then you had the Sklar brothers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew who they were again when I
Yeah.
seen them in the preview.
As soon as like in the preview, like I remember during the previews going, "Was that the Sklar brothers?"
Yeah.
And just going, "Who?" And I'm like, when they walked out on stage, I'm like, well, "This ain't fair." Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
They had their own fucking show on ESPN, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
For like 4 years. I remember watching the Sklar brothers on Comedy Central when I was in college. I looked them up. They have IMDb credits as far back as like 97 or 99. Like they have been around for a long time.
Mhm.
Is that even fair to have somebody like that? Now, granted, they are kind of an acquired comedy taste. They don't necessarily, their comedy doesn't necessarily flow for everybody,
Mhm.
but they have a long established history.
Mhm.
I don't think people like that should be on the show.
Yeah.
That's like what we were talking about with what's that?
Josh Blue.
Yeah, last week.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't get why. It seems to be happening a lot this season. It's weird.
Yeah, I really
don't
did
get it.
not think, because I mean, you guys have seen Wild Hogs.
Yeah.
Remember, they were the sheriffs or the police officers in the sleepy little town that, you know, the one brother had the messed up ears, so
Yeah.
they were always standing on the other side so he could talk bad about him. Right? I mean, these guys are not nobodies.
Yeah.
Like there should be like, because even Jess, who didn't recognize them at first, like as soon as I started pointing out some of the things that they were in, she's like, "Oh, I remember them now."
Yeah.
They shouldn't be out there. I mean, I like them. I think they're hilarious.
Mhm.
But I just don't think it's appropriate for them to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even put that. I'm like, they're well known.
Yeah. What was the show? Cheap Seats?
I believe so,
Yeah.
yes.
And then you had Melody Blaze, the clothes cutter.
Waste of time.
Yeah. I remember back in the day when they used to do like bad acts like this in a montage, and now it's like they dedicate like a section to it. It's weird. Like the two brothers, or like some of the other things that were just like worth like 2 seconds of just time should like get stretched out. I don't know. And this was one of them.
Yeah, I put cuts clothes for a living. Like that's a job.
Yeah.
Like, and then
pretentious.
After that, you had Nia Kyle, the quick change artist.
She was good.
I wrote best quick change artist ever.
Yeah, I just put wow.
Because we talked about it at the time, but normally like we're used to the quick change artist who like has the big rod and like pulls it up and then pulls it down.
Yeah.
You know, like she was doing it literally in front of you. Like,
yeah.
And I couldn't
Like
figure
when
out
that
how
one
she
shot over, like a snap or something.
Right, I couldn't figure out how she did it.
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah, it was
like
pretty insane.
I've never seen the quick change artist, or she had did the sprinkle, like dropped like the glitter and like the whole, like it was just insane. Like, I know we haven't got to this segment yet. I wrote it down. We'll get to there later, but I totally agree with the golden buzzer.
Yeah.
What do you have after that? Thomas Evans, the jump rope artist.
Boring.
I don't know how he got 3 yeses.
Oh, I was impressed.
I said double standard. I've noticed over the years. All right, if a woman came out wearing scantily clad and did something like that, the 2 female judges are in the older episodes. The one female judge would be tut tut tut, where Howie would be all like, "Oh my God, greatest act!" Where nowadays, like, if the guy comes out and he's totally cut and buff, strips down and does something kind of silly, Heidi and Sophia are like, "Oh my God!"
Heidi's gonna zoom in with her magnifying glasses.
And I was like, this is a complete and total double standard, because if this act had been a female act, it would not have gotten 3 yeses. And the judges, the 2 judges would have been against her from the get-go.
Yeah.
And if Howie had said anything, all the social media would have been like, how sexist is Howie?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then between that, they had the Bob Dance Shop and the aerial performance, where they were just showing them with, was it Grumpy Howie?
Yeah, the Grinch
Oh yeah, I just wrote
montage.
Grinch thing. Like,
that was the 2 acts
I
they
didn't
showed.
try. Yeah, what was that?
They spent a lot of time on that.
They spent way too much
Yeah.
time on that.
And that just, I didn't think they were ever going to turn him back to normal skin color.
And then you had
But what was he just in a bad mood that day, or did they cut together all? Because like he was coming down on some of those acts in a way that I was just like, just get him, just fire him, and just go down to 3. Because like he's like the one singer who
the next one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that was Tori Vegas, the singer.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a Disney.
The Broadway.
Yeah, the one who
Yeah.
wants to go on Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that style of music, just like him.
Me either.
But
I mean,
she
you
was
can
good.
acknowledge that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
But she was
Like,
really good.
Yeah.
I would have and for him to be all like, yeah, just no. Like I was like, this. It's almost like they're trying to force.
You think they wanted him to say no? Like they were like, hey, let's have you just say no to this. We'll make kind of like a skit out of it. You 3 say yes, and then when she comes back in the next round, you're like, you changed my mind about this.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't want to think it's fixed or scripted as much, but it sure seemed that way when they just had him be like all grumpy, like for no apparent reason, just be like, everything sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they really do watch that many, and you don't see how many they actually see. I mean, obviously you don't, but like, there's so many that the days are long. By the time you get to certain ones, you're just like, "Fuck you."
And if it's a lot of crap ones in a row, you're just like, "I'm done."
Yeah. So maybe they do catch them in some of those moments, and they just had edited a montage together of it. But I don't know.
Like people will enjoy this, and we didn't.
Yeah.
Then you had Peter Rantorino, the psychic. Pete Rantorino.
Oh yeah.
I wrote, what was that? The longest audition ever?
I know, like, after the first thing was over, I'm like, what? There's a part 2 after the commercials?
Right.
This is so weird.
I thought he killed it with the first part.
Yeah, I didn't
Give
complain about it being a little longer.
Right. I mean, after the first part, great, done, killed it, get the 4 yeses, move on.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like, I'm going to do a second part. I mean, all impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with it, and I'm not. Like, I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I just was like, everybody else is getting, like, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
We gave you half a fucking hour.
Yeah, I mean, that could have easily been a whole separate thing, yeah. I mean...
Well, like, I mean, I felt like he'd used 2 of his performances. I want, like, he could have saved the ring thing for... Like,
next one.
The next one.
Yeah.
Like, he might not have any tricks left. He blew his load.
Could be.
Yeah, it was good, though. It's one of those...
Yeah, it was enjoyable. He had a good stage presence to him.
Mm-hmm.
Then followed up by Dr. Crew, some dancers. Yeah.
Was that the K dance?
Yes.
I wrote whatever.
Whatever.
I put good act, good story.
What was their story?
I remember they were talking about some kind of backstory. I don't even remember what it was anymore.
They want to be the K-pop of dance.
Who was that dude that had, like, he came out on stage with his mother's ashes, like, in a necklace or something?
Was that the one? Were they part of that?
Was that the K dance, or was that earlier? I think
was earlier.
that might have been, like, that Impact group or whatever.
Yeah, that was the Impact group. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. I was gonna say, it wasn't them because they were all Korean dancers and.
Yeah. Oh, for like the good story, like when they were dancing, because they had the one person like flying around.
Uh-huh.
They made it into like an act.
Yeah,
that's what I meant by good story, not like a backstory.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you see the one supposed to be like a dragon flying.
Yeah.
Different colors.
That was cool.
I'm generally just not sold on that. I'm gonna be Howie right now.
Because you can't dance.
No. Look at me. Do I look like a dancer?
I just dance.
How dare
like
these people do this?
Like the gopher for Caddyshack. That's like my go-to dance. That's all I can do.
The Shaq shimmy. I can do that.
That's true. And then the last dance, she's Jay. That's all they said about her.
Yeah.
Singer.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, one of the bigger sob stories.
Yep.
Yeah.
And since they had already tricked us with the golden buzzer halfway through, because I was like, oh, this is a golden buzzer. Wait, they've already done the golden buzzer.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as she was telling her thing, I was like, well, it's a sad story. She's going to get 4 yeses.
Yeah.
Just when they came out with her story. I'm like, she's going on.
And she was really good.
She's a good singer.
Yeah, she was really good singer.
I question, too, though, like she sang that sad song, which you get with everything that she's had. Is that all she's going to do, though? Is it just she's going to sing
sad
songs that make you want to shoot yourself?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would hope,
I'd like to see what else she can do.
Mm-hmm.
I was seeing a lot of people online saying, like, go ahead and wrap it up. Nightbird's already got it. Like, she has the...
Sad story of the story of the season.
She has the saddest of the sad stories, and you can't deny that. It doesn't get much worse than that. I mean, Jay maybe a solid second, watching her parents get murdered in front of her. But
that's a tough one.
But I don't necessarily know if sad story and sad story alone wins, because. You know, you look at it, like, if she comes out in the first live round and does just a terrible version cover of some, song, or she's like, well, I mean, I probably made the joke a couple weeks ago, but, like, if she's like, I'm going to do Drowning Pool Bodies, she's not...
Remember the old guy singing that a couple of seasons ago?
Yeah. Like, I mean, if she does that over, like, where her strong suit is... You know,
and it won't matter what
her sob story is. People aren't going to vote for her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like if that's all she does is those sad songs and stuff, are you going to want to go see that? You're like, oh, let's go entertain ourselves by watching this. Yeah. She's a good singer, but if her songs are all that sad and depressing, I'm like, my mental health's not strong enough to listen to that for a couple hours.
But I mean, Elliott Smith, until he was murdered, had a pretty long career.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of... I mean, My Chemical Romance is coming back. There are a lot of bands who make a career out of doing sad songs.
Yeah. Just wouldn't be what I would pay for.
No. I was like, I can't listen to you sing this sadness for hours. Whatever it would be. Right, those are the X.
Ooh.
So the last part is, what's your golden buzzer?
I'm going to agree with the judges on this one. My golden buzzer is staying with the actual golden buzzer.
Nia Kyle, the quick change artist.
Yep.
Jeremy, what do you got?
I think I'm gonna give it to the dog lady. Not the first one. The second one. The one that actually was like.
Alexandra and Tesla.
That's it.
All right, let me write these down.
Otherwise, I would have given it to the quick change artist too. I don't want us all just piling on the same stuff all the time.
No, I mean we have for every other
We
week.
have.
Why not?
We could keep it going.
See, like I had felt the same way. That I think was the best act, but I have such a hard time agreeing with Heidi. Something about her. I was like, yeah.
How can I possibly like this
Right.
now?
So I might give it to. I'm gonna give mine to the psychic, even though he had the longer time.
Okay.
I thought his act was really good. Granted, the quick change artist is amazing.
Yeah.
I just can't agree with Heidi.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
All right. Well, hey, that's. We don't all have to agree at all times.
Yeah, but if you agree with Heidi, that makes me kind of question some of your thoughts here.
How can I trust you in the future?
We see what she thinks about comedy and all that stuff. So I mean,
Well, that is true, but I mean,
I was like, "Oh, this is amazing," and Heidi's like, "It's my goal," and I was like, "Ugh."
a broken clock is right twice a day, so
It's
you know.
Unless the hands fall off.
Last I checked, Heidi still had her hands. So
Good. Yeah. That was all of them.
Another successful episode in the books
I guess
Of both shows.
of both shows. Yeah.
I guess if you are a no contact wrestler,
That's just the promoter.
screaming at the audience, a guy trying to make a biopic of, an artist who has little to no catalog or no interesting backstory at all. You need to remember that stupid never walks alone.
For sure.
Cool.